2024 was such a year of deep transformation for me. And today I want to share some of the things that I learned about myself in this process during this year, the year I turned 25, all of these very big milestones that happened this year, and especially shifts to my mindset. I want to share that all with you guys today. So with that said, I'm going to be sharing the tools, mindset shifts, commitments, and decisions that I made for myself that really helped me elevate and transform my life this year. So if you're really excited to hear about that, definitely stick around. And if you're new to the channel, hello, my name is Monet the Creator, or Ebony Monet. I am a PhD candidate, life coach, and content creator. And I'm very excited to be bringing all of this to you today. And I hope that you're able to take away some nuggets of knowledge. Let's get right into the video. I wanted to share tools that I used myself that were, for the most part, free or very accessible. So for that reason, I'm mainly focusing on reading and YouTube. So first, for reading, I wanted to recap some of my top books from this year. So first, this book and book number 2 actually are tied for first place, but I have to mention this one first, especially for all my ladies out there. This book is Untamed by Glenon Doyle. Untamed is actually a memoir by Glenon Doyle, in which she really explores self-discovery, authenticity, and breaking free from societal expectations and norms. She also shares this beautiful story of how she recovered after getting divorced, also sharing how she reclaimed her identity in the process of all of that. So that was such an empowering book, and the title fits it so well, Untamed, like learning how to stop fitting the society expectation and really embrace who we are as an individual. The next book that I have to recommend is Think Again. So this book and, like I said, Untamed are like neck and neck for favorite book of the year right now. Think Again by Adam Grant really encourages us to think like a scientist. The way that scientists think is they are always on this constant pursuit for more knowledge, more truth. Instead of trying to always prove their theories correct, they are always on the seek for a deeper understanding and a deeper truth. And that's really what the book encourages. There are so many situations since reading that book that have come up to me, and I have been like, okay, like I'm trying to get through this problem, I'm trying to find a solution, except whenever I step back and I took a second to just think again, you'd be so surprised how much that has actually shifted and changed my mindset when it comes to trying to approach and take care of various problems that I might run into day to day, honestly. One last thing about Think Again. It also encourages us to approach life from a standpoint of everything is just an experiment. So that goes to me recording this YouTube video, that goes from me actually doing experiments in the lab, that goes to me making social media content or hosting workshops, or honestly anything in my life I'm now considering just an experiment, a test. And you'd be surprised how much that's actually alleviate a lot of stress and anxiety when it comes to trying to approach various tasks in my life. My next recommendation is Atomic Habits by James Clear. So it is about just what you would think the title is suggesting. How do we make the micro adjustments in our daily lives to make better habits for ourselves? I don't want to spoil the book too much because there's just so much information in there, and honestly I need to take a reread myself, but it is a really good book for learning techniques and tips for forming new habits. From Atomic Habits, I actually want to share 4 ways that you can start a new habit, which is talked about a few different times in the book, but I just want to summarize this really quickly for you all. So those 4 things are making this new habit easy, attainable, accessible, and with easy reminders. So let's say that the new habit that you're trying to pick up is reading a book before bed. All right, how can we make that easy? So I like to listen to audiobooks, but I like to normally do that during the daytime. And I found that I really like having a physical book on hand whenever I'm heading to bed. So making this easy is first choosing a book, but not only choosing a book, but choosing a book that you will find entertaining to read before bed. And for me, I was really into personal development this year, so I was doing a lot of personal development reading before bed. But towards this last month, I started to notice how draining it was. At the same time, I decided to read a book on quantum physics before bed, which probably was not the best idea. However, I quickly shifted and actually got a romance novel, and I absolutely loved reading that before bed. So Of course, making it easy, making it something that you're interested in, and actually having a physical book or ordering your own copy of a book. Next, making it attainable. So starting a new habit can be really hard, right? And that doesn't mean like you get this book and you're like, all right, like I gotta read for 30 minutes before bed, I gotta try to read 30 pages or 2 chapters or whatever that may be. That's not super helpful. In my opinion, I have found setting the bar lower and then overachieving on that goal really reinforces a new habit. So what do I mean by that? I mean, okay, I got this new book, let's just read 5 pages. And even if that 5 pages takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, let's just read that 5 pages. And what you will commonly find is in starting with that 5 pages, you will eventually be like, well, I might as well finish the chapter, or well, I'm almost done with this paragraph, let me keep reading, or oh, it's only been a few minutes, let me keep reading. And eventually it kind of becomes a snowball effect where even though you started with a small amount of pages, it becomes much easier for you to just do the habit, pick up the task and keep repeating it because it is something that is attainable. Now, making it accessible, kind of going back to making it easy, but getting the physical book. So like I said, I don't love reading audiobooks before bed because I feel like they've just put me to bed, but I do like reading physical books because they keep me more accountable and I have the physical book there. And for the last tip, easy reminders, making it easy to remember that I want to read before bed. So I actually have 2 recommendations on how to do this. And the first one is just to leave the book on your bedside table, on your pillow, whatever it is, first thing in the morning so that you remember before bed, yes, I see the book, yes, I'm gonna read it, and it really helps you get that habit in mind. However, if you are someone that really likes that checkbox whenever you complete a task, what I would recommend doing is creating kind of a task accomplished system, right? Where you get 2 jars, this is an example from the book actually, get 2 jars, fill one with paper clips, and each time you read before bed, move the paper clip to the other jar. Move a paper clip to the other jar. And what that does is it slowly starts to reinforce, hey, I'm making progress. I can see myself starting to move these paper clips to this other jar. But secondly, you literally get that physical accomplishment of moving the paper clip. So I highly recommend doing this if you have a hard time starting new habits. And that is all I'm gonna say on a topic habits for the time being. All right, so the next book I would recommend is The Power of Now by Ekhart Tolle. I love that book. I loved all the books that I'm sharing with you right now, but I absolutely love this book because it really talks about how much power we have right now. If you have a hard time understanding that, that is okay. I would highly recommend picking up this book just to get a little bit of a mindset shift on how powerful you are in this moment and really not downing yourself and your skills at this moment. I would also recommend the book Attached, and this is by Amir, Levine, and Rachel Heller. So this book is all about attachment styles and relationships and a lot of different things like that. However, I found this book not only relevant for relationships, but also for other areas of my life. In particular, like my attachment and relationship to being an academic and being in the academic system for so long. I will highly recommend that book if you're looking for especially some relationship relearning or really just want to know a little bit more about your style of love and communicating with others. And the last book that I would recommend that I actually have not quite finished yet, but oh my goodness, I love this book so much, is Your Brain on Arts. It is by Ivy Ross and Susan Megansman, and it is just this it is this mind-blowing book that is just all about the arts. Neural aesthetics is what they call it in the book. So like how our nervous system and our purpose and a lot of things can actually be discovered, reinforced, and healed through the arts. Like if that is something of interest to you, that's all I'm gonna say about the book because I could go on and on about it, but it is so good. I would highly recommend all of these books that I just mentioned. And then other tools, YouTube. Free YouTube. So like I said, I was either listening to audiobooks or going to the library or actually ordering and purchasing all of the books that I just mentioned. But there's so much free knowledge on YouTube. In fact, you could go and find reviews and different information about the books that I just talked about. So definitely check out YouTube. Find content creators that you feel like you can relate to and learn from, because I feel like I have learned so so much from using YouTube and even treating it as if it's a podcast, if you will, which podcasts are also an amazing learning source, so definitely take advantage of those. I will leave in the description a few of the YouTubers and content creators that I really have enjoyed this year listening to and have felt myself transform by listening to their content. All right, so let's go on to some of the mindset shifts that I had this year, because this was major. Like, yes, I had my qualifying exam this year, which really is a big milestone when it comes to working on your doctoral degree. However, I really had so many other things that clicked and transformed me during this year, and I'm going to share that with you right now. First and foremost, the growth mindset. And the growth mindset really just says, I have the current skills that I have now, and I always have the opportunity to keep improving them, making them better, and become a more successful version of myself. That also means that we always have this space and opportunity to learn. Allowing ourselves the space and opportunity to see those areas where we might be a little bit weak, and knowing I have the opportunity to change this around. I still can get better and be a stronger person through this if I keep working on whatever the skill might be that I'm lacking. This year, I also had this deep transformation in self-acceptance, self-actualization, and just embracing my authentic self and aligning with my ideal self, my ideal identity. That got unlocked through a variety of journaling, working with coaches, therapy, YouTube, books. All these things that I've been mentioning so far have somehow contributed to this greater alignment with myself and just feeling more confident in those skills and gifts that I have been given by God. I decided this year that I am a businesswoman, and I am so much more than just a businesswoman and just a scientist. Like, I am just so phenomenal, and I'm actually really excited to see how 2025 goes, because I have some really awesome things on the horizon that I'm so excited to share with you guys soon, but not quite yet. Nonetheless, I'm so excited to be delving more into music and other forms of creative exploration that I have been shy to delve into due to my current identity. Basically trying to detach from that whole student identity and thinking that, oh, because I'm in school or because I'm a student, I'm not allowed to do XYZ ABC. The last thing in particular that I want to share about my mindset shift, and this one might be a little bit out there, but I'm just going to share it anyways. I started to realize that when I take a bird's eye view of everything, my life, my circumstances, my successes, my failures, rejections, approvals, all of these things, I realized that none of it really matters. First of all, most things that exist that we navigate through, the systems, the situations, whatever it is, are all made up. It's all systems and things that we put in place so that life wouldn't be as chaotic, and we just accept and move through those systems in that way. However, I really have started to realize, and for that reason detach from a lot of things, because it just doesn't matter. I started to realize, like, even when it comes down to my experiments, my science, like, I love my science, I love my experiments. If data comes out and it doesn't support my hypothesis, it doesn't matter. It is fact. It is what it is. That is really something that I had to work on accepting a lot this year, but I feel like this last month it really clicked, and I really just want to circle back to this whole idea of turning 25, because I feel like a lot of people kind of told me right before I turned 25, like, you know, 25 is gonna hit, and then all of a sudden things are gonna make sense, and it's just gonna get better, and you're just gonna understand. And I was just like I turned 25, and I was like, now it's about a month and a half or so since I've turned 25, and I think I understand where people are coming from. I really do. And it's because I just started to realize, like, I am not attached to all of these things and systems and all of this. Like, I have a lot of deep passions, desires, and things that are very different from those around me. And for that reason, I can't fit their standard. I can't depend on this environment exactly in the way that I might have expected in the past. And I have to pave my own way. It's called the trailblazer effect. That is what I have decided to call it. Because whenever you are doing something new, something that is very off the grid, something that is something where you're making your own blueprint, you are the blueprint, it is the trailblazer effect. There is no one for you to base your identity, base your skills, your goals off of. But I don't really care. I just know that I have a variety of skills that I want to implement, mix together, and see what comes of it. All right. And on to some commitments that I made, but at the same time, I also want to share some things that I really had to let go of. So some of the commitments that I made that I really feel like transformed me during this last year. The first one, which is a major one and a major self-investment, was me hiring a coach. I feel like I hired a coach for a variety of reasons. I knew I was trying to get content creation off the ground and a variety of different things, but I just knew I needed help. And I knew that I was worth the expense of getting that kind of help from a coach. And so that's what I did. And it was different. It was a little bit scary. However, I learned so much about myself, and I do feel like it put me in a completely different mindset, different place, a different schedule, a different structure, so that I could really understand and start to elevate into a more desirable version of myself. I also worked with the entrepreneurial lab at Harvard. So this is actually something I only did the last few months of this. And through this program, I was actually given another coach mentor, which is really awesome, and he's helping me really get some other things off the ground for my business. I found myself doing the uncomfortable, or doing things that were just not typical of a wet lab research scientist. And this experience in particular is the Harvard Peer Coaching Initiative. So I found out that Harvard actually offers peer coaching, where you could do a program where you get a certificate for peer coaching someone. There's classes, there's different like kind of lectures, some pre-work and things that we do. But it was really awesome doing that program. I really loved the experience that I got from it. And a few things that I had to let go of, because once you take on more commitments, in order to do that, you have to release some things, right? And I think I kind of was alluding to this before, but I really just learned how to detach from this student identity. And I was saying that for months this year, like, oh, I'm trying to detach, I'm really starting to like separate myself, but I don't really think I understood what that meant and how I could do that until this last probably month of the year. And so I did a lot of journaling. I did a lot of thinking about like, what does this degree mean? What does education mean? What does this educational system mean? How does it impact me? How can I use it to empower myself? And I found myself at one point this year having a lot of resentment towards working towards a PhD, or this academic system, or the politics that are involved around it. However, I finally have started to realize that this is a commitment for a short time. That's kind of the commitment piece, but I can also just release a lot of that attachment I had to, you know, the research defining who I am, or no longer identifying with the traditional student identity. I've even had to make this term traditional student because I still love to learn. I'm obsessed with learning, but my learning styles and the things that I want to learn look very different. I feel like I learned more from all of these books that I read than really like in the scientific space, because yeah, I did a lot of different learning, bioscience, and I did my qualifying exam, and I had my dissertation meeting and all these things, but eventually I realized, hello, like I learned so much about myself. That is something that I am so blessed and grateful for 2024. And the same kind of goes for academia and academic careers. I really had to sit back and just release this whole idea of being within the academic system and starting to imagine what I can do, even if it impacts academia in a parallel way, instead of me being within the system trying to impact within, if that makes sense. I want to end with some of my decisions and just other life things that happened during this year. First and foremost, I started a business. That is something that I still don't feel like I understand the power behind quite yet. Hence why I'm recording this video, because sometimes it's very nice to have these kinds of interactions for my own future self, to see where I was, the seeds I was planting, and then just reflect on that and see how far I have come. But I started my business. I am now a business owner. I'm starting to generate clientele, and it is really, really exciting because I'm just starting to see a new version and a new confidence within myself that I have never seen before. Meditating every day has absolutely changed my life. I can't tell you exactly when I started doing that every day, but I will say that eventually I switched to doing guided meditations through YouTube, and I just fell in love with the entire process of allowing myself to be present and allowing myself to see, like, what can I do? What am I able to perform and learn? What can I transform within myself so that I can impact those around me, the collective, everyone? I want to see us all move forward. It's this whole principle of Sankofa, or reaching back to try to help move others forward. A lot of other people may term this to lift while we climb. So journaling was a very transformative space for me this year. For one, I actually switched to doing physical journals, which is something that I was not doing in the past. I was using an app for a very long time, and then I switched to using Apple Notes. But now I use a physical journal. I have various journals for various different reasons, and it's actually very empowering to be able to look back on that as well and just see how far I have come and seeing how my mindset has shifted. Like, journaling has truly changed my life. And if you would like to learn more about journaling or a video about journaling, some prompts that I really loved from this last year, definitely leave a comment down below. I would love to talk more about that. This year I found myself growing closer to my mom. And even though, like, I live very many states away from her now, I don't get to talk to her every single day. We had a lot of things and transitions within our family, within our lives, that ended up bringing us closer together. And honestly, even though it really sucks for things to change, sometimes change is necessary for us to plant a new seed or to grow something anew. Another thing that I would say has been a major decision that I made, that when I first got here and is still helping me to this day, is finding a therapist. I started working with a therapist literally the moment I got here, because I was like, all right, like, I'm in Boston, first thing I'm doing, Black mental health care provider. Like, I was not playing. And it's because I knew that, like, I wanted myself to go on this journey and to have support in various different ways. And I wanted to make sure I was going to grow, and I had someone that was always going to be there and be accountable for me, that isn't family, that isn't friends, that doesn't have some type of strong attachment to me such that, like, it might ruin a relationship or something like that. Like, I just really love having my therapist and love that she's able to hold space for me to just be my most authentic self. And to be honest, it has put me into the space where I am today, and I feel great. So the last thing that I actually want to touch on is my life trajectory and how I have just seen it change and adjust and evolve over this last year. And there's not really much to say other than maybe I eventually would have had some of these realizations. Maybe I would have read some of these books. Maybe I would have found some of these content creators, whatever the case may be. But the truth is, I took a chance on myself and I said that I deserve better. I deserve it all. If we want to refer back to Senior Kendrick Lamar, right? I deserve it all. And for that reason, I realized that I deserve to love myself. I deserve to do better and do great things for myself and for the ones around me. For that reason, I have just taken the reins that is my life, and I feel like I am steering the carriage. for lack of a better analogy. And truly it feels so empowering to be in this space and to keep moving forward and do my best every single day. So I hope that you were able to learn a little bit more about me, learn some tips and things that you might want to use going into 2025 to transform yourself. If you're interested in hearing more about the books that I love, the podcast, all of these resources that I have been using, comment down below, let me know, and I will be more than willing to make another video sharing more about the resources that have made me feel like the absolute most amazing woman that I could be in this world. It was so nice having you all join me today. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for your time. I just want to add, if you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more updates on graduate school, coaching, lifestyle, mindset. If you're interested in those kinds of things, that is what we will be talking about. So I hope to catch you in the next video. This has been Monet the Creator. Bye-bye.